guys. Well, this is the second time I'm going to try to do this. Hold on, let me check something really quick. Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you about why we feel alone, why we sometimes don't fit anywhere. Sometimes we don't, I didn't even fit in my coven. I always felt like no matter where I was or what I did, I just didn't fit in. And so I decided to do all my work solitary. And I think, I just want to talk to you guys about why sometimes you feel so alone and you don't fit in no matter what. And you don't fit into this world, this crazy world that we're in. It's so crazy right now, isn't it? Well, I just want to remind you that you didn't come to fit into this crazy world. You came to create a new world. Isn't that fascinating? We actually came here to create a new world and help Gaia create a new world. And so we have to go solitary in order to do this. And I found myself needing to go solitary because I had to self-heal. And the only way I could do that was go into nature. And so nature was what helped me heal. And nature was what helped me find my true self. Nature was what helped me return to the knowing. And so I want to really quickly read a little bit of my book because this is what the story's about. This is about her returning to her, and I lost my page, you guys. It's about her reclaiming her knowledge, going back to realizing why she's here and her purpose in life. And I am looking for The Guardian 113. Okay, bear with me, guys. The first time I did this, I went through this whole video and realized that the camera had turned off. Shit happens, doesn't it? Okay, all right. Let's see here. All right. It was the time of the dark moon when the moon was only a silvery sliver in the heavens, like a thin steel dagger cutting through a black curtain, keeping the night in the shadow of darkness. This was Cheyonne's favorite time of the moon. Cheyonne could feel the strong call to do ritual tonight. This night she felt the need to go solitary, instead of meeting the girls in her coven as she had done all winter long. She had gathered a few appropriate herbs and stones to assist her. Not knowing quite what to expect from this night, she walked in silence, letting herself become one with the woods. Every now and then she caught a quick glimpse of what she knew to be the wood sprites. She learned long ago to bring them a gift when walking on their land. They were likely to play a nasty little prank on those who walked through their home without reverence or permission. The biddyfolky, as the travelers called them, were not partial to humans. It was foretold that humans and the biddyfolky had battled hundreds of years ago over sacred ground. The biddyfolky, having lost the battle since they were mostly a peaceful being, vowed to one day retrieve their lands back from the humans. But until then, they would hide underground, waiting for any unsuspecting human to come along so they could play a trick upon them, or worse. Bithia told her they liked apples and trinkets of any kind as offerings. So she would cut apples in tiny sections and drop them here and there along the path. She stopped at a small pool of water, black and ominous in the dark of the moon. Cheyonne opened her satchel of herbs, dug out a handful and held them up. I honor and bless the plant allies which have chosen to give their lives so that they may assist in this night's ritual. She overturned her hand, letting the sage, juniper, and geranium fall ever so lightly to the water. Again she reached within the satchel and pulled out 3 stones. Holding them toward the dark moon, she said, I bless and honor these minerals that have chosen to assist me in my ritual tonight. May the plants and minerals lend their magical properties to grant me wisdom. She did not drop them in the water, but held them as she stepped into the dark pool. The water was warmed by the earth, and she easily sank to the sitting position, allowing herself to float on her back. She emptied her mind of all thoughts. The night sounds lulled her deeper and deeper. Soon pictures began to form in her mind, along with the sound of jingling coins. "Ah, child, your magical hearing has become much keener over the winter," said Bithiah as she walked toward her, pointing her ran at her. "It was I who called you on this night of crescent moon. These next 3 nights are your strongest time of the journey of the moon. I have come to bring you 2 more guides from the animal realm that will serve you in your journey." To Cheyonne's surprise, a doe with large, calm eyes and a big, black, lumbering bear came toward her from the dark of the woods. The doe brings you gentle calmness and healing. The bear brings you strength, perseverance, and infinite courage. All of these attributes you will need. Let them become part of who you are. Remember, once again, you will have to learn of these aspects. The heart is mightier than the head. One great lesson you will learn, Cheyonne, is that the suffering of humans is caused by their disassociation from nature. They feel they are above nature, controllers of nature, and in truth, they are only a small part of nature. Once you learn these things and feel them in your heart, then and only then will the realms of nature fully reveal themselves and their magic to you. As quickly as they appeared, Bithiah, the deer, and the bear left. Cheyonne's eyes flew open, searching the woods. "Bithiah, please don't leave me. It's been a long time," she whispered out to the stillness of the night. She waited to see if she would come back, but nothing came. She sat back into the warm spring, replaying Bithiah's words. It was so good to see her. It was proof she had, in fact, was still with her. Suddenly, the quiet of the night was broken by a whimper coming from the brush beyond the trees. She strained to hear more. Quickly, she climbed from the pool and dressed. She headed to the left as the whimper became louder. Pinpointing the direction of the cries, she tiptoed toward the sound. She knelt and pushed aside the ferns, which revealed a small black shape. Focusing her eyes on the shape, she said aloud, "A wolf puppy!" Okay, so that gives you an idea. Look at how much happened to her, Cheyonne, when she decided to go solitary. She got a vision of Bithiah, her gypsy wise woman, and she got totem animals, and she found a wolf puppy. And so because this book is back in ancient times, there were a lot of wolves running around. And so this wolf becomes her guardian throughout the story, one of her guardians throughout the story. And so because she was working solitary, she was becoming more conscious, aware. Her awareness expanded. She was expanding, conscious expansion. And so she didn't have the distractions of her coven. She didn't have the distractions of everybody telling her how to do things, what to do, when to do. It was time for her now to go solitary. And so you guys, being alone is how we're supposed to be. Coming with a coven and taking classes and workshops, that's all fine and good. That's great because it can inspire you. But it also has its downfalls. I know when I was first learning, I took all of these classes, and that's all I was doing. It's like watching YouTube for information. That's all I was doing was taking classes, but I was never finding anything out for myself. I was not learning my true purpose. I was not developing my own way of doing magic. And we all have our own way. There's no right and wrong way. And so the thing about working in a group, a religious organization, or a coven, or sometimes you deal with a lot of ego. And what happens is when you start doing things on your own, and you go to your coven and you're all excited. This is what I got. I did this on my own. Yay. You're so excited. You're so inspired. A lot of times when you go to your coven, the ego starts to rear its ugly head. And some of them will say, well, that's not right. That's not true. You did it wrong. So then it stops you once again. It slows your own progression. It slows your own development. And so that's why many of us are alone. We feel alone, and it's because our vibration is a lot higher than a lot of the other people here who are still feeling that they need to cling on to groups and cling on to other people. We have already done that work. We've already walked that walk. We've already been there. So we're here this time with we're trying to remember what we already have and what we already learned from our past lives. And so we're trying to pick up where we left off. And it's like the dragonfly. The dragonfly, it doesn't go through the pupa stage. The dragonfly goes from the nymph to the big dragonfly. It skips a stage. It's already done that stage before. And so spiritually, we get to skip that stage of clamoring on and needing others. And it is nice, don't get me wrong, to do celebrations with others, but we always know that when we're alone, we're fine. We are really doing great works when we're alone. And so it's just, we are growing a lot faster. We grow so much faster. We develop so much faster when we are able to be solitary. And so because we grow a lot faster, our vibration is a lot higher and our energy is stronger. And so a lot of times people who are not with us, they feel that ego stuff starting to come up and they feel defensive against us, or we make them feel less than who they are and they don't even really know it. And so when you walk in a room, a lot of times people will just kind of clear away and they don't want anything to do with you. Or you might have acquaintances for a few days and then later on it just kind of drops away. And it's just because of where we are. We're a lot further along. And so I would just want to give you some guidelines in working solitary and how you can feel not so alone. And that is nature, you guys. Remember, the Wild Witch has come here to work with nature. She's part of nature. She knows that. She's come here to work with Gaia, to help Gaia. Remember, there's an ascension going on. We are ascending from the 3rd dimension to the 5th dimension, and in Gaia is the ride. She's doing this. She's leaving whether we want to go or not. And believe me, you don't want to choose to stay in the 3rd dimension. And so a lot of us are here assisting energetically with this process. And so because our energy is a lot different than the 3D people, nobody wants to, hang with us a lot. Yes, we can inspire people. People tell us, oh, you inspire me, you lift me up, but then something happens and they just fall away. And so nature is rejuvenating, isn't it? And I talk about this before, how we need to get into nature. And I tell you what, if you can get into nature sky-clad and lay in the grass, lay in the ground sky-clad, that is the best thing. That is one of the most rejuvenating things we can do. So connecting us back to Gaia, because remember, there's that symbiotic exchange going on. Gaia's negative ions and our positive ions, and so that exchange, it's like carbon dioxide and oxygen. It's also the energetic exchange. And so working with nature and working with the natural realms, working with the herbs, keeps us grounded. But working with, I find that I feel the most alive and the most unalone when I'm working with nature. And one of the easiest ways is work more with your totem animals. And, these are the animals that come to you. These are the pictures. These are the animals that you are attracted to, be they wild or domesticated. These are the animals that cross your path. These are the animals that you see all the time YouTube. I mean, it's like the numbers, the angel numbers that come to you all the time over and over again. And so once you figure out what your totem animals are, you can really, really work more with them and get out in nature and work more with them. I get out and I work in my spiral wheel outside. I walk my spiral wheel and in the meadow. And whenever I do any kind of this work, I feel so connected to my power animal, which is the Black Panther. So anytime I do a journey, anytime I do the journeying, because the gypsies, they do journeying, the upper, middle, lower, I'm always going to the Middle Earth. I love Middle Earth. And so the first thing that happens every time is my power animal comes. She's with me. She's right next to me. A lot of times she'll jump up and she'll lick my face or give me, roll me around or whatever. And she just seems so real, and she just uplifts me and makes me so happy. And so I want to give you a really cool story about how real your power animals are. And I was working, for years my journey has been with when I was doing all of my Native American and Reiki training and all that, I had a group of women that I worked with. And one of them was a Cherokee medicine woman. And we had another friend who was training to be a shaman. And she wanted to do a soul retrieval on my Cherokee friend. And I had forgotten exactly what day it was she was going to do the soul retrieval. And so one day, and I want to go back a little bit. My friends and we would do a lot of metaphysical fairs, and we would have our booths. And my Cherokee friend would always say, make sure you bring your panther, make sure you bring your panther, because we would always attract weirdos. We would attract so many strange people. She would always say, bring the panther to keep them away. And so she knew about my panther. We used her all the time. And so, okay, the day came of her soul retrieval, and I had forgotten all about it. And at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was like somebody slipped me a Mickey. I could not stay awake. And so I went on the couch and I fell asleep for hours. I did an hour, fell asleep, woke up, and I was just like, well, that is really weird. I thought maybe it was coming down with something. I was getting sick. I wasn't sure. The next morning, my Cherokee friend calls me and she goes, I gotta tell you what happened. And I'm like, what happened? My soul retrieval. I'm like, oh, that's right, you had that. She goes, the panther was there. And I was like, really? She goes, yes. And I said, what time was your soul retrieval? She said, 2 o'clock. I said, that's why. I said, at 2 o'clock, I fell asleep. I could not stay awake. And she goes, well, she was here, and that's probably why you had to sleep, because she had to make sure you were where you were safe. But she said, when Susan was doing my soul retrieval, she goes, there's a Black Panther here, and she's at your feet. And she says, I knew right away who it was. So, true story, guys. We cannot make this stuff up. So, nature, when you hear this stuff, how true this really is, it makes you feel less alone. It really does. It's like you got all of this to you. Forget all the people. Yes, the people are nice to come and have tea with once in a while, but we are here to really do great works, you guys, and it's hard to do when you're being distracted. There's so much distraction going on, and there's so much ego out there, and a lot of these people, because of the ego, they can put doubt in you, and I'll tell you what, doubt will slam you back down to the 3D faster than anything. And so, in nature, that's where you can find your inspiration. And so I was feeling, I told a story before, my Ravens story. I'm very connected with the Ravens. I work with the Ravens. And on one of my lowest points, it was like Goddess, I need something to lift me up. And I went out in the morning to feed the horses, and my raven was there, who had learned the routine, was there every time I went out. Feed the horses 3 times a day. The raven would be there. But this particular morning, instead of the raven watching me from the roof or on the ground watching me, the raven was on the fence post, and I could walk right up to the raven and have conversation with the raven, and it just lifted me up, and I didn't feel alone. It just raised my vibration, you guys. It raised my vibration from 3D to 5D. And so because I moved, I lost my raven couple. I moved up here in the mountains, where when I moved up here, there wasn't any birds up here at all. And so I've been working in my wheel and working with the goddess and my guides to bring me some ravens. And yesterday I did a really long journey in my medicine wheel, and I just said, I just put it out there. I really want the ravens, putting out, I just love ravens, and want to be with you. I don't want to, have you live in my house with me, nothing like that. I just want to be able to commune with you when I go outside and visit with you. And so this morning, we had caught 2 mice on our back porch. The mice are getting crazy. So I threw the mice out in the yard, and I always feed the birds. I have all these other birds that come, pinion jays and stellar jays, and they all come and I feed them. I threw the 2 mice out there, and I had been watching 2 ravens that had lived in the area. This morning they were in the tree. They had gotten the 2 mice. So they knew, they had heard me yesterday. So they were here. And so it is so easy, you guys. You just have to do it. You just have to take the time. And but yes, working with your animals is one way of feeling not alone. And being in nature is one way of not feeling alone. And being very present and watch for the synchronicities. I mean, it keeps you so busy. Once you start getting more and more synchronicities, you start looking for more and more, and you start getting more inspired, and you get to the point where you really hate to go do anything with a group, because you know that what you have and what you want to share, sometimes they're not going to be receptive. That ego again. And so, but it is good, you guys. I'm not saying don't do it. It is good. We just learn to be more stoic, more silent in what it is we do and what it is we get. But I want to, here's one book that it was one of the first book I got when I was on my path, when I first started my path. And it is The Solitary Witch by Silver Raven Wolf. I always say it different. I think her name should be Raven Silver Wolf. Silver Raven Wolf but I'm going to get you guys all confused, aren't I? But this is the Book of Shadows for the new generations of solitary witches. And you can see this book is quite extensive. And I used this for a long time, and I haven't used it in the last quite a few years. But I mean, there is everything here, you guys. Everything. And she's written so many books. And but this is cool. Witchcraft practiced honorably gives you power beyond your imagination. So that's one of the first pages in her book. So yeah, if you are solitary and you're a beginner, I highly recommend this book. And it'll give you so much. And it is a way of connecting and developing impeded, what is that the correct word, without anybody else putting doubt or fear in your own work. And this is a journey too. I mean, this is based on my journey, and my remembering and my reclaiming my power and, you know, my getting the knowledge back. And this is the first book of a series. I'm finishing up the third book one of these days. And so, yeah, I mean, there's no reason to feel alone, you guys. Just get out there. Remember, we came here to create the new earth. That's why we're here. And a lot of these people are not ready for the new earth. They are disconnected from Gaia. They are disconnected from the animal kingdom. And so, you know, reconnection with Gaia and all of the animal realms, the crystal realms, the plant realms, there is more than enough to keep you busy out there so you don't have to feel alone. And you know, when you do this work and you raise your vibration, when you go to these circles, you just know who you are. And then the people start feeling your vibration, and some of them might start through osmosis, start to awaken and start to let a little bit more of that ego go. And maybe when they start awakening, they start to raise their vibration, and in turn, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help Gaia move into the new earth. And, you know, this great shift that we've been talking about, us witches have been talking about for decades. And so that's all I got for you guys today. And blessed be, and we'll talk to you soon.